has come to my attention that the Queen Elizabeth II, has left this world to carry out her duties elsewhere in the heavens. She reigned for 70 years, a feat that will live on for generations to come. There isn't a whole lot that I can say, because so much has been written about her, so much has been said about her, that rehashing the same thing over and over again would be redundant. But I did want to say something. And this is what I have to say. Rest well, Your Majesty. You did your part in the world, and did it with loyalty. Your dignity, elegance, grace, compassion, humor, love, and your dedication to your duties helped the world through some of the good times and the bad. You were there during times of war and sorrow, and joys and blessings. Your 70-year reign will live on for generations to come. You stood alongside 17 presidents, 8 prime ministers, and attended a dozen weddings and 2 of the most iconic funerals in royal history. You committed yourself to the people of Britain. You showed them that queens can show compassion and love. You stood your ground when times were tough, and you took on the responsibilities of being queen with realization that the people come first. We idolized your humanity and your humility, even in America. You have to understand why this is important. Throughout history, kings and queens have had a very hard time with the public. Primarily because of the fact that kings and queens were often feared. Kings and queens, the vast majority of them, had this mentality of bow down to me or else. That was not what Queen Elizabeth II wanted. When she became queen after the death of her father, she knew that compassion was what the public wanted. Compassion and dignity was what the people wanted. And more importantly, do it with grace and humor. And that's what Elizabeth II showed, that you can be a queen and a royal, or even a king, and still treat the people as equals. Still treat the people with love. I remember in 2011 when I wanted to watch the wedding of William and Kate. And to be quite honest with you, I didn't really know who they were. But I had heard about Princess Diana's wedding and how iconic that was. So I wanted to be there for the wedding of William and Kate. And we are going to watch it live. The problem was, it was at 4 in the morning. I was woken up, I was there, my mom was there, and one of our friends' mom was there because she wanted to watch the wedding too. We sat through all the newscasts, blah, 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 that kind of thing, and we watched the car go down to Westminster Abbey. It was iconic. The Queen was there. And you knew who she was. You knew who she was, but when you finally got a chance to see her, you knew where she stood. This was the same woman who helped us get through World War II. Or at least she helped England get through World War II. She, along with King George VI, who you might have known from the King's Speech, and Winston Churchill. The Queen knew that duty was the most important part of being a royal. Rather than seeing her duties as a burden and an annoyance, she saw her duties as important. She knew, and she didn't shy away from this, she knew that she wasn't perfect. She wasn't perfect. She was a human being, but that was okay. Being there for the people and listening to them, treating them with compassion. They were at the foreground of every decision that she made. Every decision, every meeting that she was involved in, she knew that the people came first. And she did it with class, with a spice of humor. She worked behind the scenes finding the right call to action, one that resolved an issue while simultaneously keeping the people in the foreground of every decision and meeting. She was a towering figure. There's a saying that goes, "You have to be seen to be believed," and that was true with her. You knew who she was, you knew her accomplishments, you knew how she appeared in the spotlight, though never letting her personal feelings get in the way of her duties, but you did not know how touched you were until you saw her. If you read her bio, and if you saw her on TV, or even went to England yourself and stood in line to greet her as she was strolling by down the street, waving to you. That sense of communication was very important. You were touched almost immediately. She knew that she wasn't perfect. She was well aware of that. In fact, after the death of Princess Diana, she was at her vacation home at the time. Long story short, she didn't really know how to communicate with the people. She asked the question to herself, how do you communicate to the public directly to show them love and compassion after they had just lost their princess? Prior to this, Diana was trying to get out of royal life, divorced Prince Charles, and was involved in all these different things, but the public still loved her anyway. How do you balance all of that? You talk to them directly, but not undermine the situation. And she gave probably one of the best speeches of her career. And not to mention, her iconic fashion choices were perfectly suitable for her. In the beginning of her royal duties, she would look literally like a queen, with the staff and the crown and the gowns. But later on in her life, she appeared in simple attire, wearing just a bright color on her outfit. So she would wear all green, all yellow, all white. This was so that she can stand out when she's driving down the motorcade, down the street, or when she's just walking down a hallway. You knew her presence immediately. It wasn't just as simple of, oh, who's that woman with a yellow hat walking down the street? No, it was the queen. And you knew who she was automatically. She was identifiable. In fact, by the early 2000s, she became such an iconic figure that she appeared literally everywhere. And that was in part due to the internet age. She liked that more people saw who she was, and I think she knew that she was proud. She found a balance between her royal duties and time to herself and her family. She planned every move to help the world in more ways than one. For the few people who either met her face to face, shaking her hand and exchanging words with her, or being knighted under her wing, that is an honor that will never happen again. But it was one that you cherish and will never forget. I'm not going to give you a long list of her accomplishments because so much has been said about her, so much has been written about her. That's not why I'm making the video in the first place. The reason why I'm finding time to make this video is because, not because of what has happened, but because of how she touched us without even knowing it. We idolize queens or kings as towering monarchs that can never be touched. Kings and queens usually last about 5-10 years. The queen lasted for 70. So she lasted 7 times what was required. Because she loved her job that much. Because she did it so well. I'm not going to give you an explanation about her wedding, which was one of the most historic weddings in history. I'm not going to delve deep into all her accomplishments that she was involved in during World War II. I'm not going to give you a long diagram of every person that she was connected with in one form or another. I'm not going to say everything that has ever been said about her because that would be redundant. I wanted to share with you my own personal feelings. Because it seems like in America, we don't really understand the impact of the Queen. We don't really understand that impact. But some of us do. And that's why I'm coming on and explaining all of this. Because that impact still resonates with us. To the people of England, who in the 1 in a million chance they may happen to be watching this, my thoughts are with you always. She was very, very special. That special radiance, that special balance of honoring duty while showing it with grace and love and a touch of humor, we probably won't see anything like that again. I'm going to end this little video with a phrase that we will continue to say for generations to come. God save the Queen.